Hi guys, what's going on? Welcome to my house. Let's get into it. I'm very excited about this video, as you can tell from my face. No, I actually am. I geek out with this kind of stuff. This is the most expensive collection of Starlink satellite dishes that you've ever seen, at least in one place on one table in Heber City, Utah. I am not sponsored by Starlink, but I should be. Elon, give me a call, hook a brother up, because I have every type of Starlink here. And I want to go over this today and tell you why I think it's very important, both in living your best recreational life and also living your most prepared life. The game has changed. This is the new standard version. This is the new antenna from Starlink. I had the original version that looks really clunky, like a satellite dish, and I threw it in the trash. I didn't realize you could sell it on Facebook Marketplace and make some money. Shame on me. But I decided to upgrade when I got back into Heber City with the new standard version, and here she is. So it's a big dish, has the ability to extend the little leggy standy thing for you to set it on the ground and get a clear view of the satellite that's transmitting the data and communication. I think it does it by collecting protons and stuff. But this is the newest variation of it. I think this is version 3. This version is the home version, and when you get the service, it's static located or geolocated to your address. So you can't roam with it. But as an option, now you can. Before you couldn't. When I got this, which is the Starlink actuated, it came with this clunky ass antenna attachment leggy thingamajiggy. Now, why it's called actuated is because it actuates towards the satellite and moves its position on its own, which is fancy, but also not as robust as just doing this. Integrated with your Starlink app, and it tells you you're screwed up, like 5 degrees, dummy. And you're like, what's 5 degrees mean? And so you move it around and you go, oh, that's exactly where it needs to be, right? So when I originally bought this, the intent was this was my roam option. Now, as you can see, with all of the components to this, including the legs, the antenna, and the wireless router, this is a pain in the butt. I used to go camping with this because in the roam feature of this system, it allowed me to go anywhere I wanted to go. And now that's not available. Early 2024, earlier this year, they said, we're no longer offering that feature with this because you could just roam with this as an addition. So I actually am a dummy because I bought all three thinking that like I need one to roam, one that's static, and one that could do anything you want it to do without a wireless router, which we'll get into. But a lot of confusion, I'm sorry, but I want to get that out there. This, by benefit, is the actuation module. You don't even need that anymore. If you get a standard, you can get the roam feature and then just pull it when you want. But if you're one of the guys that puts it on top of your roof on a pole, because there is a pole attachment, well, then it's static. I like the ability of just throwing it out there. Depending on what you want to utilize it for is going to line out what antenna you get and what plan you get, because there's many options. Let me get to the point of this video, and it's all about this little guy. And it's a little guy. This is a little bit bigger than a piece of paper. It is the Starlink Mini. Now, what's cool about the Starlink Mini is not only does it have static ability, because you could put it outside of your house, not only does it have roaming ability, meaning you can go down the road, camp in your favorite camp spot, and populate data and communication, but you could also use it on the fly. And that's really cool. Not that I recommend you driving and using the internet, but it comes in handy when you're using certain accessories, GPS, or YouTube living, wherever you may be, if you're into that. I am into that. Just a sidebar, I'm going to be doing in January a winter survival block of instruction live in the backcountry in Wasatch by myself, utilizing this to do a YouTube live. Is it going to be the best upload? You're probably not even going to be able to see me through the pixelation, but it's going to be really cool. So this Mini, as compared to the standard, I mean, it's like very small as compared. And the coolest thing about the Starlink Mini is the fact that it doesn't use a wireless router. Let me show you how clunky this is to set up. So I got the home set up right here. Now, this is one of the issues that I foresee with this, right? Clear view of the sky, use a Starlink app. to get it vectored in, but you could also put it on a pole. It has options to put it on a pole. I'm gonna take the router with the 50+ feet of cable behind me, and this is the issue that you run into. So I have all this cable. If it's on the roof, you're gonna run into a similar issue. Most people might route it. If you get a second floor like I do, you might route it through a window up top, which is better for security, obviously. And then I get to the point where I'm inside the house, but now I have the router. So I wanna put it somewhere, obviously, in an area where I have good reach of this. Like if I'm downstairs, I could still access this. There's enough of the signal bouncing around to allow me to access the internet, which I'm surprised by, because some factory wireless routers connected into a cable isn't enough. But this seems to generate enough signal for me to be on this floor and then have signal in the basement. So I get it set up here, put it where I want it, and I simply just plug it in. It's that easy. I go on the Starlink app, I open Wi-Fi, and I set it up. What I do is I put it in this gap space, and then I tape it and just follow the contours of the outline of the house just to get it out of the way so it's not in the kids' ways. I'll shut it for you. As you can see, there's plenty of space right here, and it doesn't crimp it, okay? Just something that you have to consider. Not as easy for a setup. I apologize in advance for all that mud I just drug in. As you can see, that's the only complication in this entire setup, is just how you're gonna run the cord and how you're gonna set up the Wi-Fi router. Again, the advantage of the Mini that we'll get into is I don't have that. All right, so that's the coolest component to it. It doesn't have a wireless router. It's built into the actual antenna. This is all you need. Another cool feature is that on the back side of it, you see there's a plug embedded inside of it. That plug, when the power is connected or plugged in, makes it waterproof to a certain distance. I can't tell you the distance, but we can put in an asterisk right here, right there. So it actually could be submerged as long as that plug is inside of it. The coolest thing about this now is there are a lot of companies developing different accessories to utilize this in the backcountry, like this company called Star-Batt. Star-Batt is specifically built for the Starlink Mini, where you integrate the antenna into the top portion of this lid. You basically just take this, plug it into the dish, and hit the power button. You shut it, and it has the ability to receive and transmit through the lid, while this is shock, water, and bulletproof. I don't know if it's bulletproof. I just made that up. But it's really cool, the fact that you could throw it out there with no additional inputs and run this thing for 24 hours. Now, are you going to run it for 24 hours? No, you're not. But if you had to, you could. And also, if you had to, you could run different accessories, including USB and USB. What's it called, Yoshi? Type-C. 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 I'm not that guy. Yoshi's that guy. How do you know? His name. Also, so you know, this is available in March. It's also available for pre-order right now. I don't have a partnered relationship with them, but I said I would like to, if I'm talking about this, because they did let me demo this. If I was going to talk about it, I want a discount code or some kind of discount for you guys. So Glover 100 saves you $100 off of this if you pre-order it now. So this has cool little fans. They recommend that if you're going to use this out in the open, you don't use it beyond 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And it has the ability to charge. So it's a battery pack that's designed for the antenna embedded in the lid to protect it, but also you could charge all your other accessories as well. Now, what extends the life of that is this little guy. Having solar panels that you could throw out attached to this and just run this for as long as you have sun is super cool. So not good in an apocalypse where you lose the sun, but super good when it's sunny. So it's limited, but again, you have plenty of options as far as resources. I like the fact that I could put this inside of this, transport this, and when I want internet, I just push the power button on the inside and I get it. It's that easy. Generally speaking, I've tested this and just sat it outside. You don't have to get an angle. You just need a clear view of the sky, right? It can't be masked with a tin building. You can't be inside of your home and utilizing this. I think it is a useful, purpose-built accessory for this, especially if you spend a lot of time in the backcountry and recreation. That's what I like about the whole idea of the Mini. The whole cool thing about the Mini is you don't buy something or invest in something that is just going to be utilized in the worst case scenario. You don't invest in it. It sits on a shelf next to your beans and your ammo cans. It could be utilized in recreation, and then you have the ability to communicate wherever you are via the Starlink network. This one is made by Moto Built. I'll link it down below. But the antenna goes in here. It's made of aluminum, and then it has suction cup adapters that you can link into it and basically put it anywhere you want, including tying it in permanently on top of a vehicle. A UTV, side-by-side, overlanding in the backcountry, you can just pull out the antenna and pop it up real quick. I think that's real cool because it's the easiest way to utilize it on the fly at low speed. So let's close out with just a little bit about pricing. These things are running between $500 and $600 for the initial payment for the antenna, and then you have service. The coolest thing I think about Starlink service is there's no contract. Once you get the antenna, you could put your account in dormant mode where you don't have to pay because you're not using it, and then activate it when you want on the fly. And that's super convenient because a lot of these things, like this Mini, I currently am not using. But as soon as I'm going to use it, I'm going to teach in Vegas soon and I'm camping, doing some moto stuff, I'll activate it, use it, and then deactivate it when I'm done. That's really cool. So for me, it's worth the investment. But here's the most critical component to this for the worst case scenario. Guys, you're bought into an infrastructure that I think is so robust, with Elon Musk being so committed to helping people out and not being affiliated or associated with a company that is tethered to the government. So when Hurricane Helene happened and FEMA was going out there, they didn't have the infrastructure to support anybody. Partly because they were using HughesNet. HughesNet's like the Commodore 2000 of internets. Like if you want to download anything on HughesNet, good luck. When people had access to these antennas and the Starlink infrastructure, they immediately were up on comms, communicating, coordinating for emergency services all over the state, especially in rural North Carolina. I think if poop hit the fan, you're going to be looking at a situation where a lot of the infrastructure tethered to other networks, including government networks and infrastructure, this is going to still be private and available. And I think having seen Elon's history of recent, he will go out of his way to maintain the integrity of that infrastructure. So what is the most important means of communications in the worst case scenario? The one that works. And I think this is going to be the one that works. Let me know how you feel about Starlink if you're using it currently, and also any other additional accessories. I'm actually interested in this market because it's expanding rapidly. One of the things that I talked to Mike from Takamoto, who built my KTM 500, about is integrating this full time on the back of a motorcycle, integrated into the power where the power is inverted, and then the alternating power is going to constantly charge it and keep this running. Whether that's a truck or a motorcycle, I think that concept, that idea of rejuvenating power where your vehicle is mostly a generator on wheels, is super interesting. And I saw somebody recently on a motorcycle whose mom wouldn't accept him running this race without the ability to FaceTime connect with him, where he was running, I think it was a Jackery power station on the back of his motorcycle, where he was live streaming the entire thing using a Starlink Mini, which again, you could use in motion. I think that's super cool. So if you're interested in this and more, we're not sponsored, we're sponsored by my own company, Fieldcraft Survival. Check out the Fieldcraft Survival app, link down below, for all your education online and everything preparedness. Till next time, peace out.